there are particular things to think about, not only to deal with your own stuff, meaning what you and your ex are working out in terms of your parenting agreement, but also parents often have questions about how do we do what's best for the kids. And that's a question you have to ask both for these holidays coming up and for the type of parenting plan that we're informally or formally going to commit to out into the future. But this Thanksgiving, we're separated, and obviously we can't do it the same way, or maybe we can't. Maybe we can, okay? But we don't know. Welcome to the Being Dad After Divorce podcast. These are resources to help you cope and co-parent well through and after your separation, and I aim to help you be the best dad that you can be. I'm your host, John Peters, and this is podcast episode number 13. And in this podcast, I go through a variety of topics related to separation and divorce and being dad after divorce. If you want to go back and start at episode 1 and then watch sequentially through the series, I'll put a link for that in the description. Just pop down there and hit the link to start the whole playlist. Otherwise, you can stick with me here and then go browse the podcast episodes to see if there are topics that you would like to watch that can be helpful to your particular situation. So why am I talking to you about this? Long story short, I have worked with thousands of separated dads over my 30-year career as a therapist, a co-parent coach, and a mediator. I've been an expert witness in divorce hearings, and I'm the author of the Co-Parenting Manifesto and the Quick Guide to Divorce Mediation. Also, you may be interested to know that I run an online support coaching group for dads. So if you would like more information about that, check the description. I'll put a link to that coaching group in the description in case you would like to get some live support, to get some personalized advice about how you can deal with the issues that you're dealing with in your divorce right now. So feel free to check that out. The link is in the description. So in this episode, I want to talk about the holidays, because I've worked with thousands of separated parents over my career, and this question always comes up at some point. But I'm making this video in October. We're heading into Halloween. We're heading into Thanksgiving after that. We're heading into the holiday stuff after that. So, there are particular things to think about, not only to deal with your own stuff, meaning what you and your ex are working out in terms of your parenting agreement, but also parents often have questions about how do we do what's best for the kids. And that's a question you have to ask both for these holidays coming up and for the type of parenting plan that we're informally or formally going to commit to out into the future. So I want to talk a little bit about just how to think about that and think about those related issues so that you have a sense that you're making the wisest choices for yourself, for your ex, and for your kids, and for your wider family that might be involved in these types of gatherings, okay? So one bit of advice that I give parents, and actually I give to people who are experiencing any significant change in loss or set of changes and losses in their life, is realize that the first calendar year, so the first cycle of the earth around the sun, first full cycle of 12 calendar months, that's going to likely be a different experience for you compared to the subsequent years. Now, maybe not completely different, right? The subsequent years may have similar flavors for how you experience this next set of 12 months of family rituals and holidays, birthdays, and things that were situated in that annual cycle of time. Basically the point is, you've been experiencing it a certain way for X number of years. It's probably going to be different this year, but this year may be different from the years after that, okay? Now, one reason I say this is because if we didn't think that this year was going to be different from the previous years, then we wouldn't adjust and make appropriate changes for how we're going to do this year compared to how we've done it in the past. And I know that causes a lot of parents stress because you run up against a crisis of, but now we're separated. We weren't separated last year for Thanksgiving, but this Thanksgiving we're separated. And obviously we can't do it the same way, or maybe we can't, maybe we can. Okay. But we don't know. And so that gets really confusing for parents to figure out, like, do we try to do it the way we always did it? Obviously, we're not probably always going to continue to do it the way we always did it, but can we try this year to do it the way we usually did it? The short answer of that is there's no sin in doing it any particular way, but you might do it one way or another and be more satisfied with it later, okay? And one reason I say another reason I say do this year in a way that's not necessarily completely attached to the following years is that when I talk with parents who are newly separated, and this is especially true of parents who haven't yet formalized their parenting agreements as it relates to holidays, then parents are thinking, wait, we've always done it one way. We haven't yet done it the new way for this upcoming set of holidays. And yet we're under the burden of having to make an agreement about how we're going to do it, not only this year, but for all the years, right? And so you're flying blind at this point because you might have ideas about how you want to do it this way or that way out into the future, having been separated, but you don't know exactly what that's like, okay? And this is why the number one piece of advice that I give to parents about the upcoming holidays when it's the first set that you're experiencing after your separation, the number one piece of advice is this: just wing it this time, okay? And delay your formal agreement if you can until you've gotten through this next set of holidays, all right? Now, that may sound a little bizarre in terms of delay, but the reality is if you look at when people file and when they get their final divorce decree, it's often many months, okay? So we're not talking about some sort of unusual delay of let's get through the holidays before finalizing the divorce. Obviously, you've got all the different variables you're paying attention to in terms of when the best timing is for that. And I'm not your attorney. You should make the wisest decision in a holistic way, considering all the different things that need to be considered. But, delay is normal for lots of reasons. And in my mind, there is a benefit for some issues to kind of work out how is this going to work where the rubber meets the road, in the practical world before we fully commit to what we're going to say we're going to do out into the indeterminate future, okay? One of those is how are we going to deal with holidays, okay? Another one is the general parenting time schedule, which I'll talk about in other podcasts. But the thing is, you've got the holidays coming up in the next cycle. You've got birthdays. You got annual family rituals and events and things like that, gatherings, maybe reunions, stuff like that. And just remember, it's okay to say we don't really yet know exactly how this is going to go, okay? But we're going to muddle through and figure out how to do the next set while we're also contemplating and negotiating and trying to agree around what the stable version of how we're going to do holidays is going to be out into the future, okay? Now, parents sometimes ask, should we do it? Should we try to keep it as similar as it has been in the past for the kids' sake? To some degree, yes. But, logistically, practically, given your new situation, it just may not be feasible or desirable to try to do all of the holidays exactly the way you have in the past. But, you're not crazy and it's not so unusual if in the first set of holidays you kind of muddle through them as though nothing has really changed. And I think the parents who most likely do this are the ones with younger kids. So, let's say you've got a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, they're kind of oblivious, hopefully, to lots of the stuff that's going on in your divorce. And so you got, a holiday coming up and you just kind of do it the way you've done it, right? Kick the can down the road in terms of doing it differently. And the kid is oblivious to that changing anything about the holiday. And that's totally fine. You can do that. But obviously, you may not want to continue your familyness in terms of togetherness out into the indeterminate future after you separate. So, what you do for the upcoming holiday or two may look different next year, but worry about that more between now and the next time it comes around. You'll have 12 more months to worry about that, right? So give yourself some grace if it's not immediately clear to you, or if you and your ex are not in strong agreement about how to do the holidays. Just wing it, and it'll be okay in the long run. So are kids messed up by having 2 birthday parties instead of 1? No, kids like birthday parties. Are kids messed up by going to 2 different Thanksgiving dinners on the same day, or, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, different houses? No, that doesn't mess kids up, okay? What I want to drive home again in this podcast is what kids really need is they need a good relationship with you. They need a good relationship with their other parent. And they need to be oblivious to your divorce, hostility, and conflicts, okay? Everything else is gravy, all right? Everything else is gravy. If you can accomplish those 2 things, have a good relationship with your kid, support their relationship with their other parent, and keep them completely out of the loop of your conflicts, then they're going to be fine, right? Now, will they complain about this or that? Sure, they're kids. Even if you stayed together, they're going to complain to you about your choices for them left and right. And it gets worse when they get to be teens, okay? For those of you out there who have teens right now, let's have a moment of silence. Bless you for your perseverance in getting through this. But in any case, the holidays are complicated. They're charged. They can be triggering. But you're not going to mess up your kid or the universe or yourself or your ex if you do it one way or another. Just do it how you can do it, right? And next year you'll be able to act on the learning that you get through this upcoming set of holidays, and you'll be much more informed about negotiating how it's going to work better in a more stable way out into the future, right? So if you need any, more detailed advice because you got some lingering confusion about this and you'd like to work with me, you can jump into my Being Dad After Divorce online coaching group. I'd be happy to meet with you in that group. Also, you can go to my website and hit the contact button and shoot me an email if you want to set up a meeting. I'll put the link to my calendar in the description as well. So if you want to set up a free one-on-one meeting with me to see if we might be a good fit to work together for your situation, just book a free call on my calendar. That link will be down below. Be happy to chat with you to see how it could be helpful to you. And also I can give you some a variety of options that will fit with what you need and what you'd like to be doing and how you'd like to pursue your goals. Okay. So thanks for joining me in this podcast today. And I will see you in the next episode.